Ready? I'd like to call to order the East Chicago Common Council public hearing at regular meeting for Wednesday, June 8th, 2022. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Second District Councilman Lenny Francisci. Third District Councilman Terrence Hill.
Here.
Fourth District Councilwoman Stacy Winter.
Present.
Fifth District Councilman Robert Garcia. Present. Sixth District Councilwoman Gilda Orr.
Present.
Councilwoman at Large Deborah Bolaño.
Present.
Councilman at Large Wayne Transfer.
Present.
Councilman at Large Kenneth Monroe.
Present.
Council President Monica Gonzalez.
Here. Please be advised that Councilman Francisci did call and let me know that he was not able to make the meeting today. First thing on the agenda, the public hearing. Clerk, can you please announce it?
Ordinance 22-0029, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland. Additional appropriations ordinance for the Department of Special Events.
Is there anyone here to speak for or against this ordinance?
Somebody's got to come and speak about it before we can pass it. So if nobody comes up to speak about it, there's no public hearing.
Natalie Adams, East Chicago Marina and Special Events, one of the coordinators. We'd like to ask for the council's continued support for the ordinance 22-0029 for additional appropriations for special events. If there's any questions.
Councilman Garcia.
You know, you got to talk about how much you're going to spend and everything else. This is a public hearing. You notifying the public what this ordinance entails. So, and then the residents could come and say the yay or nay if they're really not. So you got to speak.
So read the entire amount. I mean, the breakdown and everything.
No, you can just read the entire amount.
Okay.
You don't have to go through each individual.
Okay. Thank you. So the additional appropriations being requested is $615,000. And that would encompass events, hiring people that are coming to put on the event themselves, as far as artists, recording artists, everything that goes along with the events, the rental of fencing and tents and additional things such as that, light towers. It's like I said, I won't go through it all, but I just want you to know a lot of the stuff that goes into it is DJs, sound equipment, some stage equipment, depending on where the location of the event. For the movie nights, the movies themselves, you have to acquire licensing. Pest control to make sure that we try to be as mosquito-free as we can. Snacks. Sometimes we have to put a screen up for the movie nights, depending on which movie it is. Some of the screens that we already own may not be amenable to the location that we're going to. I talked about stages already. We do rent fans, these large industrial fans that kind of mist out a little water, so that if it's extreme heat, we set up tents for people to, if people get overwhelmed with heat, so we have an area stage for that, so that they can come to a tent that has the misting fans. Porta potties, of course. We talked about pest control. And a lot of it is the artists themselves, depending on the event. Fireworks are scheduled for a couple of the events. At the end of the event, kind of as a grand finale. Fireworks for 4th of July as well. Hotel accommodations, not necessarily overnight hotels. Some of them are, but some of them are just for like Music Fest, for example. We get a couple hotels for them to go change clothes into after they've had their sound check and things of that nature. And as well as for the kids, we try to secure whether it's games or rides or, we've done several things over the year, pony rides, zip line, those big jump houses, different things of that nature. And then many times for the kids, we might pay someone to do face painting, so they don't have to pay for it. We pay a person. We've done that, even for some of the senior events, we pay someone to do the drawings of the seniors, take photos for the Christmas parties, Santa Claus for the toy drive and things of that nature. Just depending on the event, sometimes donuts and coffee, for example, for Veterans Day, hot chocolate for Santa's workshop, things of that nature. And then there's another appropriation, $188,000, that's for the additional Christmas lights. Some of that is for new purchase, $63,000. Some of it is for additional purchase for things in the parks, and then a lot of it is for installation and takedown. We used to try to install and take down ourselves, but a lot of stuff would get damaged every year. And instead of replacing every year, we try to add on every year to expand into more districts and into more areas or into more parks. So we do store it because they can charge you for storage as well. So we store it here in Chicago. We don't let them take it to their facility, but we do pay them to put it up, take it down, tote it up. They have to clean it, they have to dry it. It's stored much more professionally than it was when we used to try to do it ourselves. Things would mold because you have to store them correctly. And I don't know if Lena has anything to add to any of that.
No, I think you covered pretty much.
And some of this does include our support to things of like Night Out Against Crime with police, the police do also have an event that we support as well by purchasing food and things, as well as the police, the fire department.
Are you done with the
I think
presentation?
so.
Okay. Is there anybody else here to speak for or against this?
I just wanted to piggyback on. And just for the record, Lena Guzman, Water Department Director, and also Special Events Committee member. Again, on behalf of the Special Events Committee, requesting that this ordinance be passed and adopted this evening, so our city can try and return to normalcy and provide our families and children, seniors, residents, visitors, everyone that comes to our city and lives in our city with an opportunity to come together and enjoy themselves. Thank you.
Anybody else for or against? Public hearing is closed. Regular meeting. Minutes of council minutes.
Minutes for the regular meeting held Wednesday, May 11, 2022.
So move, Madam President.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilman Monroe. Roll call.
Bill.
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Bolaño,
Yes.
Ratchford,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes. Communication from the mayor,
I have none.
communication from department heads,
We have accounts payable warrant 053122 CC, 060822 CC, and 060822 LA.
So move. Second.
motion made by Councilman Monroe, seconded by Councilman Ransford. Roll call, please.
Bill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
No.
Orange,
Yes.
Bolaño,
Yes.
Ratchford,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Payroll warrant biweekly 052722. Payroll warrant monthly 060122.
So move, Madam President.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilman Ransford. Roll call, please.
Bill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Bolaño,
Yes.
Ratchford,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes. Committee reports. Are there any board reports? Ordinances on first reading.
Ordinance 22-0030, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland. Appropriations ordinance, Health Maintenance Fund 0212, COVID vaccine insurance reimbursement.
So move first and second reading, Madam President.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Garcia. Seconded by Councilman Monroe. Any questions?
Attorney Jones, do we need a public hearing on this?
Where's it coming from? Let me look. I think you do. Give me 1 second. Yes, you do.
Thank you.
There's no questions, roll call.
Bill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Bolaños,
Yes.
Radford,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes. Ordinances on second reading,
We have none.
ordinances on third reading,
Ordinance 22-0029, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland. Additional appropriations ordinance for Department of Special Events.
second. Motion made by Councilman Hill, seconded by Councilwoman Orange. Are there any? Councilman Garcia.
Has there been any changes to this? Ordinance whatsoever?
No.
No. The reason I asked, was, they're still spending more for a dog, the day of a dog than for Veterans Day. So that's my pet peeve, spending more money for animals than you do for veterans. And, they missed the boat already for Memorial Day, last Monday, a couple Mondays ago. And then still ain't got none too much planned for for Veterans Day in November, so.
Well, as you'll see in one of the detailed requests, I believe that there was a lump sum of additional money for ad hoc things that we should make changes. We hope to make changes to that one as well as some others. If we can get additional information to make Veterans Day bigger, we certainly hope to do that, to be able to reach out to our residents that are veterans or even families of active service people so that we can honor those that need to be honored, and we hope that you'll assist us in that.
Any more comments, questions? Councilwoman Bolaños.
I just want to say that I appreciate all your hard work, Weena and the rest of your department. But to me, there are some items in this report that are, the pricing is just outrageous and I can't really agree on that. All in all, the program, I think the special events program ideas are good. To me, I feel that a lot of this money should go to police and fire. We always have, it seems like there's always a struggle about that, but then again, that's another story. But I just personally, like I said to you last time, that I am on your side. I will work with you for next year. I answered your email, just waiting on a meeting response to confirm to me on the mayor's office. But that's my comment regarding this report.
Councilwoman Orange.
Are some of these events time sensitive, if you don't get the money and they won't go on, is that a possibility?
Yes, I can probably rattle off a few. There's a couple of senior events that are kind of pending and hanging on, waiting for these funds to be approved. Even some of the Christmas decor, because most of that stuff comes out of foreign countries. And so if you don't order it many months in advance, you won't have it to be able to expand the Christmas decor. But specifically for events, there are multiple events that if these funds don't get approved, will have to be canceled. There's just no way around that. And I do find that unfortunate, even if there were specifics, like he asked were there any changes, if there were changes that you wanted us to make before today's meeting, I wish someone had said, hey, can you change this, can you change that? And it's something that we could have looked at and potentially changed, still can. For some of them, there are, we're too close in, but for several of them, there's still time to make changes and adjustments, and, we look for your input for that, if anyone has any, but I hadn't heard anything, so I assumed that whatever we submitted was okay.
Councilman Garcia.
At the last meeting, you heard my concern, reference, no ceremony for Memorial Day, and that was a slap to the face to the veterans of the city in this country. All right, so you did hear my concern, and that was a time frame to say, okay, you know what, let's reevaluate, let's do a better event for Veterans Day coming up in November. But nothing was submitted. So I'm gonna leave it like that.
But I have emailed you, I'm sorry, Councilman, I have emailed you to ask for your help and support in trying to figure out what you would like to see done, but post 508 and 369, do they do anything that we can even support their efforts? Because that would even be a great thing to do if they do anything in our city limits. We could say, okay, they're doing this, and this is their budget, and let's give some of this money and support their efforts. But I didn't get a reply.
But if you guys knew what you guys were doing, 369 is no longer in service. They moved.
They moved, they sold their building.
Okay,
and
hold
moved.
on. I let
Okay,
you
I'm
talk.
sorry, go
Stop talking over you. And did you ask our input on any of these other events? No, you didn't, you know, none at all. But we had an opportunity to say, okay, let's reevaluate, let's do something, all right? Don't try to put this blame on me, because it doesn't come on, okay? Please don't do that, because it doesn't fall here, it falls right over there. Okay? Not only, I'm not meaning you directly, all right? We got an executive in the city, this mayor, that all of this should have been put before us a long time ago, and it hasn't, all right? Slap in the face not to have a Memorial Day ceremony.
Are there any comments?
Can I reply? I'm not trying to put any blame on you or me. We do have another opportunity for Veterans Day. I am well aware the Post 369 sold their building and moved, but they were at our Memorial Day celebration. A couple of them from 369 and 508, so I assume that they still have activities that they will participate in if we reach out. So my email to you is to help us expand even Veterans Day in November, to expand from Memorial Day for next year. Not to blame, to say, okay, you're right, we should do better. Help me do better. There's no way for me to know who's a veteran in East Chicago. We've posted since that meeting. I think we got 3 additional people to sign up to give us their information, but other than that, we welcome your help.
Last year, we had a nice event. Matter of fact, we had a War 1 veteran came out when we did it at Veterans Park. I don't know if you guys
That was
remember that.
we invited him.
So, you
We
know,
invited
that was a success, all right? We had a War 1 veteran from Sunnyside that came out, all right? So, you know, there's veterans that come out, if you guys put some out there, just like the events, it's not like you asked any other group in the city, oh, what's your input? What do you want to see in the city? No, you don't. You planned everything, got nobody's input. All right, so that's it.
All right,
Let's go.
all right, does anybody else have any other comments, council? Okay.
I would just like to say, and I did receive your email and I'm willing to work with you all. But what needs to happen and what I see in other cities is that when they have events, it's the city of East Chicago. And I know it hits that the mayor does it, the mayor in the city of East Chicago, but the common council is who approves for everything to happen. I think the common council should be a part because we do approve. It's not just the city of East Chicago, it's the city of East Chicago. If it's gonna be the mayor and the city of East Chicago, the common council, if you have it, I understand this is the common council's name. But as you look at other cities, their common council is a part of what they actually do. I would like to see that.
By participating with us, like the
You know,
email.
as you advertise, you put the city of East Chicago, and you put in the city of East Chicago, and the common council. Because the city of East Chicago is not saying the common council, we approve the budget for all the events that happen. So we may not be giving anything, but we're approving it, we're making it happen so it can happen. We should be a part of, not saying name our names, you don't have to do that, but the common council, we are all a common council. And we should be included.
Council, any more questions, comments? I have one last, you can have a seat.
Thank you.
When this came forward, I was very upset because it's a lot of money
And I think that we need to look at our health department and funding our health department, making sure our health department has everything they need, making sure the welfare and the safety of our citizens, meaning funding the police with a wage that's comparable to other cities. So this is something that I cannot support because there is nothing on the table for those two departments. With that being said, roll call, please.
Bill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
No,
Orange,
Yes.
Bolaños,
No,
Ransford,
Yes.
Monroe,
No.
Gonzalez.
No. Motion fails. Resolutions,
Resolution 22-0004. Sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of East Chicago authorizing a temporary transfer to the Water Utility Fund 0601.
so moved, Madam President.
Second.
motion made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilman Monroe. Are there any questions on the resolution?
Ms. Guzman, are you here to talk about this?
Oh, yes, I am. I'm so sorry. Thank you. Heard, we have the Smart Water Department Director. This ordinance relates to the repayment amount of $2 million that is a loan to the water utility, and repayment is extended until the end of June of this year. And currently, we do not have the funds to repay the loan. Request to extend the same, and we have to come back every 6 months to do this until we're able to repay the loan. So it is respectfully requested that this council approve and pass such resolution as amended.
Attorney General, is this, I don't see this as a long, I mean,
It's not
pass
listed,
loan. They're
yeah,
asking for
it's
another
not
$2 million.
listed as an ordinance, it's not listed as an appropriation, it's just a transfer item. So I think she mentioned it was an ordinance, but it's not, it says presented as a resolution.
But I see them asking for another $2 million, right? That's what I read. Unless I'm correct.
It's not listed as that, so I didn't write it, so I can't speak to.
This is must be necessary to borrow money to enhance the depleted fund. So is this to borrow another $2 million that we created a loan?
It'll be the same, basically the same loan, and it's just, again, we don't have the sufficient funds to repay the loan, so we will need to utilize, the funds that were requested at $2 million. So, unfortunately, at this time, we're unable to pay it up.
I don't see this saying that, Attorney General. Do you see that?
It talks about in subsection 3 that the prescribed period of a loan amount transferred must be returned to the other fund at the end of the prescribed period. So it's actually just a loan from one. It appears to be a loan from one fund to another fund to pay a bill. It's not like it's paying. It's not a double $2 million.
Yeah, because I know you gave them $2 million in the past, cover the bill that's supposed to pay that, but this resolution is confusing.
No, it's the same, I believe it's the same format that they've used in the past.
I think they should have used other wording in this resolution.
Does anybody else have any other questions? I have a question. We know, Ms. Guzman, how many more times are you gonna come back? It's gonna be like every 6 months?
Well, right now, the next time I will be coming up, it's for this, relating to this is in December. We have to do this every, 6 months. We can't repay the loan. And until such time that we're able to, again, we are, as some of you know, we are currently performing cost of service studies. So until we complete that and see where we're at with that, then, you know, we can look at where we're at with repaying the loan.
And there is a water rate hike coming, is that correct?
Well, that's what the cost of service study, you know, they would follow that, yes.
When is that supposed to be?
They are working on it now, so I don't have a concrete date for that, but it should be sometime soon.
So once they raise the rates, then you won't have to be subsidized based on
Right,
that.
that's what, yes, that's basically.
Councilman Garcia.
Yes, I mean, I know, I think the city went to the state and raised the commercial water rates, correct?
That was through
State.
the sanitary district, that went through, yes.
And that was just for commercial, correct? Not
No,
residential?
not commercial, we haven't, no, not commercial, it was, okay, so we had a 12-inch, it was industrial, one industrial customer. Our records reflected that we didn't have a 12-inch, when we started changing our meters, it was identified that we had a 12-inch meter. So we have to charge accordingly, so we can't charge, you know, a 10-inch. And now that we know that we have a 12-inch, so we had to correct that, yes.
When that study is done, is before the rates are raised, do you have to come before this council?
You know, I'm not sure, I would have to talk to Attorney Allegretti, because I know it's through the state that we petition the state for that's the IURC.
I have a follow-up question. Can I ask you a follow-up question?
Sure.
So are you saying that you come back every 6
I believe
months
it's every 6 months, yes.
for the same amount because you can't
Can hold the pay now.
afford? So let me ask you this. This originated with a temporary transfer resolution, just like this one?
You know, I believe it did.
And then you're coming back every 6 months because you can't return that original
That is
transfer.
correct, yes.
I don't recommend passing this resolution. It's improper according to the statute. So technically, if you need an extension of time on that, you're only allotted another 6 months at the
Until
most.
June
I mean,
30th.
this body can determine that an emergency exists. And in this case, that might be what you do. But the statute is very clear that if the fiscal body determines that an emergency exists where we need to extend the time by which they pay back this fund, then we can give them not more than 6 months beyond the budget year of the year in which the transfer occurred.
And that is, no,
It's not proper to come back every 6 months with a new resolution. So just extend it for 6 months and then they need to get this figured out the next time. I would not recommend passing it as written. I would recommend passing it and with the caveat that there's an emergency that exists because whatever bills need to be paid.
yeah.
Councilman Garcia.
Attorney Jones, can we probably just table this until you and attorney and we not? get-
What's the due date? Well, we're coming back in here in 2 weeks, right? And it's a resolution, so it doesn't need a public hearing. We could table it, or you could pass it with the emergency caveat.
Yeah, and we did, I'm so sorry. Should we speak?
Yeah.
Councilman Orange. Did you have something?
I was gonna say that, since it's June 30th, if we do, I would rather table it and get it straightened out,
I'll talk
rather
to Joe.
than to, not to pass it at all. And because if we don't pass it, if we, don't pass it tonight, then they gotta come back in 30 days. They don't have 30 days.
Yeah, I'll talk to Joe right away on it and get it figured out for the next meeting.
And preserve the same.
Councilman Ransford.
My question was, if we pass it, Attorney Jones on an emergency caveat that you recommended, and what happens after that?
So technically, the original period, the one that was before this one, whichever the resolution period was before this gets extended by 6 months beyond this budget year. So they have a lot of time. after you pass it on the emergency basis, but it just, as it's written, it's not proper coming in and for a whole new resolution on that same amount. Does that make sense? Like, you just can't keep doing it on the same amount with just a resolution as on its face. That's how I read the statute.
I think that, what we need to do is we need to table it, and get the proper wording. You have to remember, once we vote on this, it's our names, and if it's not written correctly,
Never ever said my motion on the resolution.
okay.
And I'll get it worked out, I mean, with Joe, it just gotta be clear what's happening here.
Motion table.
Councilman Rowe.
Councilwoman
He's
Rowe.
got to rescind his motion, so you second.
A second.
Okay. Motion on the floor to table resolution 220004.
Second.
Second. Ms. Orange. Roll call.
Bill.
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Bolaños,
Yes.
Ransom,
Yes.
Monroe. Yes. Gonzalez.
Yes. During old business. New business. Councilman Hill.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the administration and the contractors who took care of the bond service in the 3rd district. They did a very good job. They worked all week. I thank the colleagues for passing that business last week so that we could give them the money so they could do what they need to do in this entire city. But everybody's lot, everybody's area that had overgrown grass. So I'd like to thank the administration and the council so they can do their job.
Councilwoman Orange.
Attorney General.
Yes,
I want
ma'am.
a clear-cut answer and about the law on the public hearing, on how the public hearing has to be, because it doesn't necessarily have to have anybody to talk about it. I thought it was only read by name, but I would like to have it in writing
Okay,
of what the public hearing is supposed to go.
sure.
Councilwoman Blind.
So I have a couple of things. One, I attended the Legacy Foundation Scholarship Awards that one of our East Chicago Central students received the Lilly Endowment Community Scholarship. I attended Friday. I was the only person that represented the city of East Chicago, and I was very upset because I sent a letter way in advance to the mayor's office asking him to join me at the table with other business people from East Chicago, and I never got a response. These are things that we think that the youth don't hear or necessarily see, but they do. And I've been working with this youth with EC Central for the past 7 or 8 months that I've been on the council, and I've heard their words. And it's not, and I'm not just gonna say the mayor's office, but also the school city of East Chicago, someone should have been there too. And I was the only one. There was 2 high school teachers of Grecia Alcantar that went, and that was it. But you know what? It was a big day of celebration for the city of East Chicago. We should all be proud of that. She's going to Notre Dame on a full ride. And I also found out today, maybe I shouldn't say this, but we also have another student that is going to receive a full ride to Notre Dame. I'm going to be presenting that plaque to her probably in the next couple of weeks. I think her name is Keisha Green. And again, another EC Central student that we should be very proud of. So, yes. The other thing that I want to talk about is that today in the audience, we have representatives of an organization that's called Cosecha. What is Cosecha? Cosecha, Indiana, is part of a national movement working towards permanent protection and dignity and respect for all immigrants, not just Mexicans, remember, all immigrants. They are here today. There's a representative here, her name is Dominga Olan Cortez. I've been speaking with her for a while. she got an opportunity to meet some of the council members the day of an event that was held at the marina. And the support that they're asking is that this council gives some type of support, and this is about the license, the driver's card that the state of Indiana is refusing to give to the undocumented. They cannot take, they're afraid to take their kids to school. They're afraid to go to work because they cannot hold any type of a driver's license. So today, I would like to introduce Dominga Olan Cortez, if she can come up with her translator up to the podium, please. They're going to speak a little bit about what they're looking for our support today. And I encourage my colleagues to really look at this, because we are all immigrants here, every one of us. And if you were born in this country, you're lucky. The ones that weren't and have struggled, and I can talk about that on a personal, my family, my father, he worked very hard, and he retired as a lieutenant of this police department of East Chicago, and he loved this city. So, por favor.
Gracias, David Bolaños. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Dominga Cortés Solán. Conozco a muchos de ustedes y creo que muchos de ustedes me conocen. Siempre he abogado por mi gente documentada, por mi gente inmigrante. Y en esta ocasión estamos pidiendo no solo para East Chicago, sino para todo el estado de Indiana, las licencias, que no les devuelvan, porque la tuvimos. La tuvimos en el 2002, fue la última vez que se pudo renovar. Para el 2007 que se vencieron, ya no quisieron dárnoslas, pidiéndonos un seguro social, cuando al principio que nos les dieron, no nos pidieron ese documento porque era específicamente para la gente indocumentada. So,
good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dominga Cortez. I might know a lot of you and you might know me, but I'm here to advocate for my immigrant community, for specifically driver's licenses. In 2007 was the last year that we could renew them in Indiana. And we are advocating for this on a state level as well. So we have been at the State House talking to state legislators, but we are here to ask for your support as well.
sí, el apoyo que estamos pidiendo de East Chicago es porque también estamos viendo el gran problema que está pasando ahorita con las escuelas. Mucha de mi comunidad se está moviendo para el estado de Illinois, que es donde están dando licencia a los indocumentados.
We're here to ask for your support, specifically also because it impacts the school systems. A lot of the students and families are moving out of East Chicago to Illinois because they provide driver's licenses for their families.
Y es fácil moverse para allá y poder empezar una nueva vida donde los inmigrantes son bien recibidos, porque en Illinois tienen muchas ayudas a los inmigrantes. Es muy fácil para la gente moverse. Pero yo soy una de las personas que tengo 22 años residiendo aquí en East Chicago, y esta es mi ciudad. Para mí este es mi lugar. Aquí pago mis taxas, aquí vivo, aquí mis hijos nacieron, mi hijo ya se graduó de Bishop Hall, mi hija va a la Central. So, esta es mi comunidad, esta es mi ciudad.
It's very easy for our community to go and move to Chicago because it's a well-received community for immigrants. But being here for 22 years and it's my home, my son graduated from Bishop Noble and my daughter goes to Central High School. And I'm here to stand for my community and fight for my community here.
El apoyo que estamos pidiendo de todos ustedes es una carta que se llama de resolución. Esa carta nos ayudaría para que la Casa Estatal pueda pasar el bill. Este año va a ser un año muy bueno para nosotros inmigrantes, porque nunca se ha visto en la historia que va a haber otra sesión y van a meter el bill. Sí lo van a meter, pero para que una cosa es que lo metan y otra cosa es que pase. Necesitamos el apoyo de East Chicago.
So what our ask here today is for you to add the topic of driver's license, the support of East Chicago City, supporting driver's license at a state level. Put that on the agenda for the June 22nd meeting so that we can discuss it. And then also we ask for there to be a resolution stating East Chicago is supporting driver's license for all. It's more symbolic to demonstrate that your community, your city is supporting undocumented immigrants. So that at the state level, they see that local cities are supporting their communities and impacts the way that they vote.
Quiero pedir que para la otra sesión pueda ser sometida mi petición y poder discutir sobre esto y contar con su apoyo.
So hopefully, in the next meeting, we are able to have this discussion again and that we can count on your support.
Thank you. Councilman Garcia.
President, first, with Debbie, ask Attorney Jones, we get that resolution going.
I have a feeling they have probably several drafts that they'd like us to take a look at.
Yeah, can we send it to you?
Yes, you can.
No,
After the meeting, you can go ahead and give it to our Attorney Jones, and she'd be happy to look at it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gracias.
Next, I'd like to invite the East Chicago FOP president and to come forward about, he's going to discuss a little bit about what's going on with our department and I guess the lack of everyone that is leaving and some of the reasons that they're leaving.
Good afternoon, thank you for your time, council. My name is Brandon Holder, and I am the East Chicago FOP president of Lodge 59. I am here today to speak to the council about the East Chicago police officer shortage and how severe it is. The East Chicago Police Department currently has 56 state certified officers out of 98. The department has had open enrollment for over 5 years, and we continue to lose more officers a year than we gain. We fear that without immediate action, the East Chicago Police Department will continue to decline to the point that the department will not be able to serve the community to what the citizens of the community deserve. Some of those issues that we see, I'm sorry, let me back up. East Chicago Police Department out of all Lake County departments is 16th out of 17 ranking in pay, hands down. Some of those issues that we see with the department is going to be through the salary ordinance that's just not being upheld. And I'm going to speak on just a few of those points. We're looking at the sick time. You guys passed the salary ordinance last year for the police. We're only receiving 72 hours out of 96 hours. Okay, the 6 personal days that you guys have passed, we received 0. Okay, grade pay that was changed for all officers. Our officers are not receiving any of it. Okay, we went from an 8-hour shift to a 12-hour shift. This is a big deal because what happened was you guys passed a 10% raise for us. And when we switched over to a 12-hour shift, we now work on a bi-weekly pay 84 hours from 80 hours. So when you calculate the percentages down from going from 80 to 84 hours, we lost 5% of that raise because we're required to work those extra 4 hours. So under an 80-hour work week or bi-weekly pay per year, that comes out to be 2,080 hours. On the 12-hour shift per year now, we work 2,184 hours, which results in 104 extra hours the officers are working per year. Okay, this has ultimately resulted in officers leaving. Okay, we have more officers leaving on the high end, on the retiree or the veteran end, than we're seeing at the bottom now. So now not only is it our young guys leaving, but our senior officers are walking out the door. They're working 2 long hours with 2 short of officers on the street. Today, you had 4 officers working on day shift. 4 officers plus your supervisor. That's 5 officers. You have more officers sitting right here in this room than you got on the streets. At the end of the day, it's unsafe for the officers and it's unsafe for the citizens. It takes 2 officers to respond to 1 call when a 911 call comes in. If you get more than 3 calls, 2 calls, that's citizens waiting. Okay, we just seen yesterday that the citizens are starting to take notice. We have a call that came in, and the call count states the guy was trying to attack his girlfriend or wife, and on the phone you can hear the guy say, "Well, there's only 4 officers working. It's going to take them a minute to get there." Threatening his girlfriend or wife that, hey, I know there's 4 officers. I'll take my chances. This is the issues that we're seeing. Okay, it's getting to the point that the department isn't functioning, right? Our gang and our department. 2 officers, one that works outside of the city on a DA task force, and your supervisor. So you have one guy in the gang and art department for the city. Did crime go down 50%? Is that, that's what I hear. Oh, crime's going down. Well, did it go down 50%? That's what the reason is for the officers not being here? What's the reason? Other departments have shortages, yes, but find one department out there that's losing officers like we are. That has this revolving door where officers just continue to walk away. And yes, officers don't live in the city. I understand that. But every department has that, every department. And it's not just, it's not just they don't live in the city. They travel here to work in the city. It has nothing to do with, oh, well, we don't live in the city, so we don't care. We're the only ones that obviously do care because you got 10 officers that live in the city limits or so. Everybody else is outside the city. And here we are trying to help, but we can only do so much. When an officer calls me and says, I got to take 14 calls because there's not one other officer available in that side of town, the East Chicago side of town, you got one officer. When you look at the stats, you're seeing stats come down somewhat. Yes, that's because officers aren't active. How am I going to pull somebody over and tie up 2 units on a traffic stop when your citizen's calling us in at 911 because his boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever the case might be, needs our assistance? So now we're going to pull an out of towner over that has a no driver's license or whatever the case might be and deal with that person from Maryville, Crown Point, whatever it might be, coming into the city to work. We deal with that person, we take him to jail, but then your citizen suffers because nobody's there to help them. So how are we supposed to be proactive? We can't. We sit because we don't have the resources, amount of officers to be proactive. We have to wait for the call to come. If you have 2 officers on one side of town and he does a traffic stop, you have no officer there. Nobody's driving around, they're both on that traffic stop. Matter of fact, I have an officer here that just recently retired after 32 years and has walked away from his retirement of receiving over $100,000 because it's just too much. It's unsafe. And if you don't mind, I'd like to have him come up and just speak for a moment. John.
I am John Castillo. Like you said, I just retired 32 years of service. I signed the drop program for 30 years, expecting to stay 3 more years. But like you said, the manpower shortage, it's unsafe for us. So it's unsafe for you and for the citizens. It was more peace of mind for me to leave and watching guys come in and out, leaving day after day, month after month. And losing, like you said, losing veteran officers. Now you're going to have younger officers training younger officers who don't have that much experience. And you have to pass that knowledge on to your officers. And if they don't know, they're going to learn the hard way. And something drastic needs to be done to retain officers. A lot of these officers left were good officers, aggressive, wanting to do the job. But with the hours and being forced over, you come in on your day off when we're on 8-hour shift, and then you're forced over 16. So nobody wants to come in on their RDO and work. I hope everybody takes this into consideration. All areas aren't covered. I know the West Cal area isn't. We have a traffic guy, like he said, in 3 area squads, and your supervisor, and that's not enough. I hope something's done for the safety of everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so when we talk about it, it's not just one guy complaining. It's not 2, it's not 30. It's your department, right? Everybody is feeling it at that department. At least on the patrol side, detectives are feeling it, the gang and narcs are feeling it, everybody. What do you want us to do? We can only do so much with the resources we have in reference to manpower. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, 55 officers, 56 officers with one upstairs that still needs to go through FTL. Right? That's your administration done. You hire in, it takes 9 months to a year to put an officer on the street. I don't care if they tell you they got 6 guys hired, 7, 10 guys. Those officers will not come out on the street until next year, until 2023. You gotta go through all summer, all your festivals that they're asking for. You're gonna put more officers, pay them overtime. You'll have more officers on festivals than you'll have on the street, guaranteed. So they're gonna protect a festival for 5,000, 6,000 people, whatever it may be. You got 30-some thousand people here. And it's okay to put 4 officers out, 5 officers out to take 911 calls. You just had an incident on Chicago, right? That was an out-of-towner that killed that other guy. Okay, in that car accident. We're not pulling him over, right? There's not enough officers to run down Chicago. And 2 officers working that. 2 officers on that side of town. We can't see everything, right? We can't stop everything, no matter how many officers you put out there. But if you give us an adequate number of people to work, we can pull over cars. We can do the proactive things that need to be done in the city. But when you have 2 officers, 3 officers on the side of town, it takes 1 guy to do a traffic stop, tie up the whole city, the whole side of town. Another guy does a traffic stop on the side of town, everybody's tied up. You might have a supervisor, but he may be in the office. He may be in the jail that doesn't have radio reception, right? That has to come out and travel all the way across town to get to the next call. Instead of just having another officer there standing by for a call that can go there in 2 minutes. Let the officer that has to travel all the way from the station across town. Super fast, right? Lights and sirens, but does everybody follow? No. Does that cause havoc for the citizens? Yes. For him just to come to a call because nobody's available, when he just 1 or 2 more officers for that area would help, right? You have a budget for 98 officers, right? 55. What's the problem? The problem is the pay, the benefits. Every officer sees it. How do you pass something and then we don't receive it? We got a memo on January 15th from the previous chief, told us what we're getting. Not what your guys' city ordinance said, salary ordinance. We got a memo from them. I got a copy if anybody wants it. The point is that we don't receive what you give us. We're getting beat down and beat down and beat down. Nobody wants to stay. The morale is low. They see our buddies and our friends leaving to other departments, getting other benefits, receiving other things. Why can't the city do the same? Let's be competitive. There's no reason we can't, right? Got the money, right? 20%, even with a 20% raise, we're so far behind. A 20% raise puts us number 14 on the roster. 14. You see how far we went? Thank you. That's all. Any questions?
Councilman Garcia.
Yes, you said 56 officers altogether?
Yeah, there's 55 certified officers. I'm sorry, 56 certified officers. One of them, I believe, is upstairs that was hired from here.
How many are working inside? And how many are patrolling?
So I believe we have 20 or roughly 20 on patrol and the rest are inside.
So 20 on patrol is one that's for 20.
So everybody is on 12-hour shifts except your administration. Your administration stays on 8 hours and your detention officer stays on 8 hours. So they're the only ones receiving the 10% raise total.
So out of the 20, they're working 12-hour shifts and sometimes forced to work 16.
Correct.
16 out of 24 hours.
Right. And today you had 3 and they split a shift between 2 guys that come in. So a guy came in for 6 hours and another guy came in for 6 hours to make that 4th guy.
I'm sorry that that's happening. I know this council, some of the people on this council have been trying to address that and trying to help you out. But I know I get bite back from the administration that, they try to not us give you guys a raise. They don't want you guys to get raised. They don't want you guys to have the days off and stuff like that. But one thing I can tell you, I will continue to fight for public safety.
Thank you.
Another question is, I understand, like you mentioned, West Calumet not being covered. I understand Marchtown, New Addition, any other area that's Guthrie being covered too?
Guthrie is being, well, so the way it works is that there's 10 areas that get divided up between officers. Typically, we'll cover, and if anybody wants a map of it, I'll get you a map and they'll show you where every breakdown is. And I'll put the officers where they typically go. And you guys can figure it out. Matter of fact, if you we go over the radio with all of our traffic. right? If you were to go to county and request that radio traffic, they should be able to provide you daily activity of, hey, you're gonna hear us go, we have to go over the radio when we start our third week. So you will know exactly how many officers and where they're at based off that map. So when you have 2 units working in the harbor, it's a 20 and a 40, right? So it's 138th and up north, and then you have the 40 that goes all the way to 144th, right? And then the EC side, you're covering all central and all that, all the way up north, and you go all the way to the railroad tracks, and then there's another guy that covers everything south and to the east, all the way to your district.
Councilman Hill.
Yeah. With your experience,
Yes.
what would you recommend? Have you had opportunity to set up a meeting with the administration? And if so, what happened?
What would I recommend as today to solve the problem with the officers we have now?
Well, whatever the put one officer on the street, evidently is money, but have you had the opportunity to speak with the administration?
Have I had the opportunity? I did reach out to, Deputy Chief or Acting Chief Jose Rivera at one point in time. I never received a message back.
Councilman.
That's K. I live out there. I talk to officers all the time.
Right.
Like some of these officers here, they patrol West Cap and they were working.
When's the last time you talked to an officer that was stationed, that was in that area? Now, I know less, and then when they were here, we had, a few officers there that would be stationed there, but you going to get nobody that's over there unless you get a call
Well, I don't think that's true.
over there. Okay.
Councilman.
I can bring them up.
Man, I stay out there and I see the officers out there. So you can shake your head all you want to. But I see the officers out there and I talk to some of them sometimes.
Well,
But I know for sure.
now here's what I'll do.
But
for you.
I'm with you guys.
No, I appreciate that. What I'll try to do for you is if I can get the radio logs for you, I'll explain it to you in detail. When they say Adam 80, that does not mean your district. And you may get a unit that just drives around there. Maybe you're Adam Edward that's driving through the city to get to a call or go to one of the guys or whatever, backing somebody up. But you do not have an assigned unit to your area. And I'll pull up the feed for you.
But I'm with you guys.
Okay.
100%.
No problem. I just want to let you know.
I can do anything to try to get more officers. I'm for it.
Councilman Ransford.
I guess my question is, should we be putting certain intel out as to which areas are not covered and which areas are covered? I mean, do we want
If we do it by numbers, it's different, but I see what you're saying.
Well, I'll tell you, there's 10 districts and you can hear the radio traffic and how many guys go over the radio for those districts.
My friend,
Is that easy to be done or no?
I think the point he's making is we don't want to publicize
Yeah,
what's covered frequently and what isn't.
right.
I mean, it's a safety concern, clearly. I mean, I think communicating with the council on that issue is fine, rather than, we're not gonna come at the next meeting and put a map up in
Right.
front of the public.
Okay, understood.
Councilman Garcia.
Madam President, I think we need to talk about it because residents needs to know because they're in danger, okay? And shame on us if we don't let the residents know you ain't got police coverage in your area, because that's what they pay for through their property taxes. It's a shame, all right? We should talk about it. You know what? Because them criminals know they ain't harming no cops on the street. They know it themselves already. So us talking about it doesn't mean nothing. Because I tell you, you can sit on my house, in front of my house with the traffic going up and down 1,000,000 miles an hour. All right? It's a shame. We should be talking about it because the residents should know in the city what areas are being covered and what's not.
Councilwoman Bolaños.
So the frequent question that I get all the time from residents is, where's the police? And now you have explained that, and I know that. And that's the answer that I give them, okay? Where's the police? They used to see the police more often than before, because we have a shortage. That's what it is.
And
Do
now,
we have to talk about it? I'm sorry. Do we have to talk about our problem? Yes, we do. At least I am forthcoming with my residents. And I want them to know the truth from me and not come back and say, well, you know what, Mrs. Bolaños, you lied. Why didn't you tell us that this was a problem? I don't want them to come back and tell me that. We need to be honest and forthcoming with our residents about the problem. And not just this problem, any problem that we have. We want our residents to engage. Why is it that we don't get people to come to the council meetings? You know why? Because they feel that we don't care. But there are people on this council that care. I think we all do deep down inside. But we have to keep the differences aside and encourage the community to come to these meetings so they can hear what's going on. And to talk about the public safety meeting, I'm the chair of the public safety meeting. And we had a meeting with the president of the city council a couple of months ago with the mayor. Did we get anywhere? No, we didn't, unfortunately. But you know what? That's okay. We'll meet with him again. Okay, I don't want to fight with him. I want to get along with him and work something out. But just to that, I just want people to know here that there was a meeting. We sat down and we talked about a lot of things. It was a good meeting, but really what we went for didn't get agreed upon. And that's okay.
And at that time, we had 65 officers.
Yes.
At that time. Does anybody, Councilwoman, Whitfield?
You're saying you don't want the residents to know the shortage of the police?
No,
I mean, not, you don't
No,
want
that
to
was
put
not the
areas,
point.
areas that's not covered.
yeah, that was
Okay.
not the point, I think, of the
Well,
comment. Clearly, you want the public to know there's a shortage, but I don't think you want to put a map up. of,
I'm
like,
trying to get to that point.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get there. Cause I'm out there and the people know. Don't think the people on Guthrie Street don't know. Don't think they don't know Calumet. Everybody knows the shortage of the police officers. I had someone just tell me, someone broke into my vehicle. I called the police. I'm still waiting on the police today to show up. They told me to make a report. Do you make a report? For me to make, not me, but the resident to make a report on someone breaking into their vehicle. So just like that person told me, and I was at an event, that person told every person out there. What do we do? Shake our heads. It's a sad day. Summer haven't got here yet.
Right.
We're just at the beginning of summer. Shootings are all over. Everybody, all the gunshots everywhere.
Yep.
There was a shooting that happened in one area and ended up in Sunnyside. The person ended up in Sunnyside. When I got there, was one squad by that vehicle. And all the neighbors looking, trying to see what's going on. They're afraid. Like I said, what can we do? Because it's gonna be a jungle.
We really just need you guys to get the mayor to comply with the salary ordinance. Right now, we're not receiving the benefits that you put in there from last year. Why would an officer want to stay and then the next year comes, we were gonna get this and this and this. And then all of a sudden it gets ripped from us. Oh yeah, you're not getting that, you're not getting that, here's what you're getting. You're gonna get 72 hours and you're gonna get no personal days.
Attorney Jones?
can I address that?
Yes.
So the council has sued to implement that ordinance, that salary ordinance, and then we had to sue over that issue. And it's pending, and I'm really sad the guy from the Times isn't here right now, ironically, because this is the hot issue and it should be in the papers, but we did, this council sued to implement that ordinance. And that's what we've had to do, but you know what? Litigation moves like molasses. I don't think there's a leg to stand on.
Right.
They should implement that salary. And in fact, I sent an email over right now, and I'm talking publicly about pending litigation, an attorney's worst nightmare. But I sent an email out asking, can we just resolve the salary part?
Right.
And let the other benefits, let's fight over that. Get the salary part done.
Yeah, it's like,
It's not like they're not fighting, they're fighting.
Right, no, and that's not, we're just saying, like, it's hard to go back to the guys and tell them, hey, stick around for a year, while they fight it out. Because what are we gonna do? I mean, no, they rather just go to the next department that's hiring, is paying more, has better benefits, and they're not fighting. Why would you stay?
Last question.
Yeah, could you let people know again of who's getting the raise?
So the way the raise works is that you guys gave us 10%. Based off of the 80 hours we worked previously in the last year, bi-weekly. The only people left on an 80-hour work week or pay period is your administration and the one guy in the jail. I'm sorry, a couple guys in the jail, okay? But everybody else, between your patrol, gang of narcs, detective bureau, IT, everybody else is on 12 hours. Now, and the point I'm trying to make is that the salary is passed under basically saying, hey, you guys work 2,080 hours a week, that's, 10% here is this and this. When we go to 12 hours, we have to work those extra 4 hours. What they did was, based off of last year, would say an officer made $30 an hour, right? What they did was, we went to the 12-hour shift, we have to work another 84 hours. They weren't paying us the 4 hours of overtime, based on our bi-weekly pay. What they did was they reduced our hourly wage down to $27. to match your salary ordinance. So we ultimately took a 5% loss.
So those that's not in the street with you, those officers, they're the ones that are receiving the raise.
Your administration and your detention officers are the only ones.
And they're not out there in the street.
Correct.
Councilman Garcia.
Yes, my last question is, so what I understand is that there's some calls not being answered because they're not a priority. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, what we're doing is holding calls. We'll hold your call, and if we're too short, that supervisor will make that decision at that time. Hey, hold that call tomorrow. Hold that call to the next shift. We don't have the manpower to move to deal with those calls.
Councilman Bradford.
So holding those calls and obviously something unfortunate happened could put the city at a lawsuit because we're not taking those calls that can result in
Right.
unfortunate outcome.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that the citizens shouldn't have to deal with, right? I mean, just do what's right. Give the guys the raise, give them what you guys put in your salary ordinance, and be done with it. And we can move on, and they can hire what they need. I mean, it's open enrollment, but the problem is you're not competitive. It's not competitive to Lake County. I'm not saying to the whole state, I'm saying Lake County, where you're hiring all these officers, it's not competitive. Right? So,
I have a question. So if I call and it's, I don't know, there's a parking issue or something that's not an emergency, does that call get counted if the supervisor cancels it? Do you know that?
So that's through Spillman. If you're counting through Spillman, if it gets logged as a case number, then it would count. But if they don't put it in as a case number, more than likely, they're not gonna count.
So-
I can't confirm that because I don't know that's
And
true.
I'll find out. But one of the things, and I'm gonna, because we can probably talk all night, I just want to thank you so much for coming, and thank you, John, for coming and speak. It's so important that officers come and speak about this issue. I just want to just kind of wrap it up. Once, we only have 4 officers, so that means it's a trickle down effect. So if they're moving people in the detective bureau, that means we have less people solving cases. If we move people from the gang and narcs, that means that there's nobody over there paying attention to the gang and drug activity. So, and not to mention when they put people in that area, correct me if I'm wrong, they're not assigned to an area, they're just roaming. Is that correct? Or sometimes are they assigned to an area?
So that would be your supervisor on shift or whoever's in charge of sending out your rovers, or I'm sorry, detectives they make that decision. And that's exactly what the point I was gonna make at the very end was that it doesn't matter whether I tell you that there's 4 patrolmen out there, maybe 3 patrolmen out there. Yes, they could bring in rovers, right? They could bring in the detectives. Who's solving the cases? If their 12-hour day is to come work the streets and your citizens have already made reports, who's working on those cases? Right? They're helping out on the new calls. That's it. Nobody's solving the cases and everything gets delayed. Ask your citizens, how many cases are being solved? Have you had a follow-up? Has this happened? It's too much. You're robbing Peter for Paul, right?
And we'll also start trickling down within the neighborhood, within our city, because people are not gonna, stop for stop sign. We're not gonna get pulled over. No one's pulling us over. They're gonna do, start, I don't know, parking backwards or parking in the alley or do whatever. And then we're gonna see the trickle down effect as residents. Our neighborhoods that are nice are not gonna be so nice anymore because of this. And I do want to wrap it up. So thank you again so much for coming and giving us this information. Again, we are allotted 98 officers and we have 56 right now.
Certified officers.
Certified. Thank you. Okay, we're done with new business.
Thank you.
You have any business? You have something for new business?
I will ask, Councilwoman.
I'm working on that. I'll be getting a date soon.
And we will start working on cyber ordinance.
Right.
And the new business, public expression. We have 3 minutes. Elizabeth Palacio.
Hi, Council. Thank you for having me. My name is Elizabeth Palacio, I live at 4124 White Avenue. I was wanting to ask you what is going on with the American Rescue Fund package. I know that each city is directing a lot of those funds toward government and city issues. But I drive around my city a lot. I see the long grass. I see no pools that are going to be open for our kids. We have 3,000 or more students in our city. I see a lot of splash pads in other cities. I don't know if we have one. I live here. I know that there's no pool right here that's open. I know the Central High School, or I'm sorry, Black School has a pool and it won't be open for the summer. But since we have 3,000 some odd children, are we gonna have to pay for them to go to a splash pad in somebody else's city? And what are they going to do in ours? What do we have besides movies on this paper? And I know I wish the ladies would have stayed. I wish they would have, so they would hear. They have movies, which is fine. I know it's a lot of hard work to put them on schedule, as well as the concerts and that. But there's nothing for our children. We need to have things for our children and our young youth, because they're the ones that are gonna live in our city. And they're the ones that are gonna build it up. And if they see nothing here, they're gonna go other places. And we don't want that for our city. That's all I got to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn. Motion made by Councilman Garcia, second by Councilman Monroe. Roll call.
Bill. Winfield.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Torres.
Yes.
Solano.
Yes.
Francis.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yeah.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Like Martin said. Yes, sir.